man?
All good, all good, all good.
What are we doing?
Tape at the side, tape through the back, and then shape up the rest, and we're good to go.
Bet.
Cool.
Come.
So, in terms of your story now, transitions, can you give us a bit of background of your story to now and getting into barbering?
Yeah, so obviously been in the professional game for a long time. Football was pretty much all I ever knew. And from a young age, it was going to be either sports related or maybe art.
Okay.
I was always into art.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the barbering side has come from.
Yeah.
I was always into a bit of art, a bit of fashion. As you know, throughout my career, I had crazy haircuts myself, crazy colours. And I think it just, there was something in me that sort of was always interested in barbering.
Yeah.
But as you know, when we're in the game of football, you're so committed to football that you can't really think of doing anything else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until sort of getting towards the end that, for me, barbering came a thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course, definitely. So, obviously, a lot of things happened, transition, and little things on your mind and things you had to go through. Was there anything that happened that kind of changed the course of how that was, and with that transition, what challenges came with that as well?
Yeah, I would say the car crash, you know, so I sort of crashed my car, bad car crash. And after recovering from that, football, it just didn't feel the same. I felt like I had to put in a tremendous amount of effort just to get fit and stay fit. And I was sort of already, I'd gone part-time, so I'd already started planning for life after football. But the car crash sort of took it out of my hands. And I think at that time, you know, it's the what do you do next kind of thing. Fortunately for me, barbering was something that I was already started at college with. And in a way, I would say it sort of was my blessing in disguise, really, because as I said, when you're playing football, you can't really concentrate on anything else, you know, and that was the type of player I was. You kind of go all in or don't be in at all. So when the crash kind of took me out, it meant that I could go all in with barbering. And that's kind of what I did. It went from a hobby to now sort of my job, you know.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Was that something that you had support from the PFA with, or it kind of organically happened yourself?
Yeah, so I would say I always wanted to do it, but what really helped was the PFA, because I went to college and I enrolled on the course. And whilst I wasn't sure whether I should just go into coaching and do football, I really wanted to do barbering. But at first I saw what it was for the course fee, and to be honest, it was expensive. And I was thinking, you know, if I put all this money into barbering and it doesn't work, you know, what am I gonna do? And to be honest, I reached out to the PFA and they told me about, you know, how they can help with courses, and basically they was gonna give me back 50% of the course fee if I passed it. So I kind of put it down to them, you know, knowing that, okay, if I pass this course, I'll get some of the money back. That kind of gave me the motivation to stick with it. And like I said, I went to the college as an adult learner, which was a bit intimidating at the beginning. But I knew in my mind, I have to get past this course, I have to pass it to kind of get my money back. So yeah, that kind of really helped.
Yeah, I think it's with that as well, there's a lot of the uncertainty, the emotions that come with that. How did you deal with that along the way as well?
You gotta have good people around you. So my family, friends, you know, people like yourself even, who was in the game with me. You know, I think at the time you was looking for teams, and it's just that willingness to keep going, which I think we developed in football, that sort of mental toughness to keep going. And obviously I've got kids of my own, so there wasn't really a choice of giving up. It was like, it's not just for me. you know, I've got to find something new for my family. And like I say, knowing that I had that sort of support from the PFA really helped me to get stuck in with it. And yeah, within 2 years, I was had passed my level 2 in barbering, which means I was able to kind of get an apprenticeship here at 2Cs. And now obviously then I passed level 3, where now I can sort of make money from this. So, you know, it's been good so far.
Yeah, I think like you said, you've had to go through that period of, and we're talking 2 years, it's not just the straight away thing that you fall into, it's the perseverance. If any of those things within football, the characteristics, the things you needed there crossed over into your barbery?
Yeah, 100%. So you're going to go through adversity at times, and definitely in football you've got to overcome it. So like an example I can think of is where you could be having a great season, you pick up a little injury, and suddenly when you come back you're not on form, you're on the bench. Like, how do you deal with being on the bench? And I think all those challenges has helped me even in barbering, because it might be that you have a client maybe a bit like yourself, you know, I haven't cut your hair, but you know you've got to do a job, and it's working out the problems of your hair and how do you solve these problems. And that's kind of what football was about, you know, solving the problems, finding a way to win, especially as an attacking player, finding, you know, the solution to help the team win.
So if we're talking current players now, what kind of advice would you give them? And even going back to yourself, what kind of advice would you give to players currently in the game?
Don't be scared to be different and come out of your comfort zone. I've touched on it. For me personally, I just felt like I had to just focus on just football. But you know, now looking back, I wish I would have started this barbering, you know, a lot earlier in my career, because it's something I liked, but I was a little bit scared to sort of be different and do different. And it wasn't until probably COVID hit, and I remember I was at Swindon, and I was sharing sort of accommodation with one of the other players, and I used to cut his hair, and I would do my own shape ups, and it was like, because of COVID, that was okay. Do you know what I mean? But before COVID, if I had sort of said to a player I want to do barbering, they probably would have laughed at me, and I probably would have felt a way about it. And that's probably why, you know, even yourself probably didn't know I had an interest in this.
But so it was your interest. Obviously you had an interest, and then you became more proactive in it as you moved along.
Yeah, 100%. Like maybe because of COVID I came a bit more proactive, but then also, you know, towards the back end of my career, you know, like I say, I realized, well, hold on a minute, I'm traveling away on away games. You know, if I had put in this effort a few years ago, I probably would have been able to make money on the away games, cutting players, and you see it now. I feel like barbering's now, it's like a cool job now. I feel like there's a lot of people getting into barbering, and you know, there isn't a stigma that it once had of maybe not being a great job. I feel like a lot of people like barbering, like art and stuff like that, and you know, I wish I would have just sort of studied much earlier in my career, especially knowing that the PFA had these courses and had, you know, could help. You know, I could have done this early in my career. If you think we train, especially if you're fortunate, you're sort of at that elite level, you might train from anywhere 9 o'clock to sort of 1 o'clock, you know, but you've got a lot of hours after that to do stuff. And I could have been doing a barber course then, and you know, and you think all them away games we had, I would have been charging the players. I would have been coming away with some money in my pocket, and that could probably help. Those times where, like I say, if you go away and you're not playing, you might be missing out on appearance money. And I know that happened for me. I was going away at times, you're not getting paid any bonus money, and you know, you get into that real slump, a little bit of depression of not playing. But had I had the barbering to sort of do, I think that would have helped me kind of you know, just keeping a good frame of mind.
A healthy distraction.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like a healthy distraction, and I think a lot of players are afraid to do something different. And for me, it's as long as it's not gonna hinder your performance, I would say go for it. And like I say, if I had done that, you know, who knows, you know, that crash might have not been so devastating. Whereas at the time, it felt like, well, my life's over. You know, like all I've ever known is football. You know, so yeah, my thing would be, don't be afraid to be different.